Hey class, the skill for comprehension that I'll be focusing on today is sequencing. I looked up stuff to use for our first grade classroom. Um, so the activity that I found for sequencing was a day at the park where they would read a paragraph and then they would number what happened in the order that it happened in. So they would put this in order from 1 to 6 according to the paragraph. I went ahead and labeled what would go first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Before I would give this worksheet out, I found a book at my house that I would read to them to practice sequencing. This book is One More Spot. Teddy, Grubby, and Gimmick meet Amanda the Ladybug. Let's see, I'll show you a couple of pages. So, today the sun is shining brightly. We landed the airship and loaded our picnic. So the story is about a picnic. So they get to the picnic. The bugs come in and take their food, and so their food's getting taken away. They ended up shrinking themselves so they can go hang out with the bugs. And they go to their circus. They unshrink themselves. And that's the end. So at the end of the book, I would say, let's try to sequence what happened in the story. And for instance, the first thing would be they landed and unpacked. The bugs took their food would be the next thing. Teddy, Grubby, and Gimmick shrink themselves to go to the bug fair. Then they wanted to watch circus acts. And finally, they unshrunk themselves. So we would read this book and go over it together, and I would probably ask them if they could tell me in the order of it's happened, and we would go back in the book, and that is what I wrote down, which I would have as a note. Let's see. What could make it more meaningful for the students? One idea I had is, well, last week was Halloween, and when I did my comprehension activity, I focused on summarizing. And to make it more interesting, so say if it is a holiday like Halloween, maybe you would pick a book out that was a Halloween book. Or if it's Christmas now, it's Christmas book. Or if they're focusing on different mammals, pick out a book that they're on the mammal that they're focusing on. Like last week, I did mine on summarizing, and I picked Dear Vampire because it was a vampire book. And it had werewolves in it. Let's see. Oh, other activities we could use, this is a worksheet I had used, which is the summarizing, and they use the SWBS strategy, which is somebody wanted but so. I could incorporate this to this book that I would read them, because they would figure out the somebody, which was Teddy, Grubby, and Gimmick, wanted to eat their picnic, or the problem, the bugs took their food, and then the solution, they shrank and went to the bug circus. So I could incorporate our summarizing in with our sequencing. To differentiate, I found online that instead of when practicing sequencing, having them number, there was pictures they could use, and let me see if I can look at it real quick to give you all a better example of what okay, so they would have pictures. So say they would have a sentence, and the next sentence there would be a picture, and they would cut the sentences and the pictures and match them together in the sequence of a story that was read. So that way they would have a picture that went right with their sentence, so they could have a visual. That would be good for the low and the ELL. This probably would be more high middle, because they would be having to go back and read and then read all the sentences, and they wouldn't have pictures to go next to their sentences. Let's see, how could I use this in class? Well, when I'm teaching sequencing, we always want to use a book, so I would start by using literature, and I would do just like I said, introduce the book, read the book. We would talk about sequencing, and then we would go into our activity. So I hope y'all enjoyed my activity, and thank y'all for listening.